and listeners, and welcome to another edition of the program Addiction and Recovery. I am Jason.
Hi, good morning, Jason. Are you hearing me? Yeah, I missed a little piece of what you said there a minute ago. Let me join with you in welcoming all our listeners, both locally and internationally, and to let our listeners know that this program is repeated again at this same station tonight at 10 o'clock. And for those who miss it, they can, of course, go to my YouTube channel, that is Ram Naresh Dwarika, and they will be able to view the entire program and previous programs as well as we have been doing. So I want to thank the staff there for the lead up video to this, explaining the ill effects of alcohol on the system. The alcohol is basically a poison. In a sufficient amount, it can literally kill people, and it has done so in the past. That is instantly, but it can also kill you in the long run, because there are only three places basically that alcohol use can lead you to if you continue to use it. And that is, you can end up in an insane asylum, you could end up in prison, or you could end up in the cemetery. And I'm sure none of our listeners is anxious or passionate to get to any one of those places. We have been talking about recovery. We have been talking about how to identify whether you're an alcoholic in previous programs. And those of you who miss it, you can go back and look at it. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the nature of alcoholism and why it is so serious, why it is such a profound illness. And to start with, it is an illness as opposed to what a lot of people think. Generally, and in a lot of places in the world, people still consider alcohol use and abuse as a moral issue. The people who are drinking is just that they are weak-willed, they are just, wicked, immoral, and they are choosing to do that. Not realizing, yes, it could start off as a bad behavior, but with time it progresses into an addiction where the person, although they have insight, they know that this is causing problems in their life and would be making attempts secretly to manage, to control, using all kinds of methods, And I could recall some of those myself. And in working with alcoholics and drug addicts, I can tell you from experience, a lot of people, before they show up for treatment at a treatment facility, long before that, they would have been trying all kinds of methods to manage their alcohol and drug use. With alcohol, a lot of people would change the chaser, as we call it, what they mix the alcohol with. Some would change their friends, some will make geographical changes, move from one place, go to live somewhere else in the hope, because they thought their friends were the ones who were causing them to drink excessively, only to realize that no matter where you went, the pattern of behavior would remain the same because you have become dependent on the alcohol. So that it is a disease of denial where the person, most alcoholics and drug addicts who have become addicted, they resist admitting to themselves that they have a problem because of the stigma associated with it. It is society still, by and large, do not have much sympathy for alcoholics and drug addicts. If someone got sick with some other illness, they got a stroke or they got cancer or they got some one of those, the relatives and everybody would rally around them. And there will be a lot of sympathy, extended to that person. But when it is alcoholism and drug addiction, people, I worked at Cora Hospital at the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Center. And Cora Hospital in Trinidad and Tobago is was originally a chest hospital for respiratory problems and so on, but now sees quite a lot of other kinds of patients, heart patients and so on. And in that setting, even the staff would be much more sympathetic and patient with the other patients, the chest patients, the cancer patients, the other patients who are in the hospital. But a lot of them, and you could hear them saying it out loudly sometimes, their rejection and their disgust at having to serve alcoholics and drug addicts who were there as patients. Because, these were young, strong men and women and who had, and they would say it out loud, nobody held them down and put the alcohol in their mouth, as it were. You understand? So this is why the society generally is very intolerant of people who have become addicted with alcoholism and drug addiction. But thanks to the efforts of people like Professor Berbrand in Trinidad and other doctors worldwide, have been able to persuade the World Health Authority, the Pan American Health Organization, the British Medical Association, and indeed in Trinidad and Tobago, our Ministry of Health have now come to accept alcoholism as a disease. In fact, in the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, that is used by psychiatrists and psychologists, professionals worldwide, it is now listed as a disease like any other disease. And so there's a little more tolerance in the society. The reason being is, our populations, they go to school, they spend between 10 to 15 years schooling and training themselves. Then they may go to vocational training. Then they have years of on-the-job training and they hone their skills. They become very skillful. And it is really a loss to the society generally after investing so much money and resources and effort and time and supervision. And alcoholics and drug addicts are usually very skilled workers, very talented artists and performers. And that is really a loss to the society when they become dependent on alcohol or other drugs. And this is why in most enlightened environments in the developed countries and indeed in Trinidad, a person who is identified now with alcoholism or drug addiction in the workplace or wherever, they are usually sent for treatment first. In the old days, they would be, of course, fired, from the job. But today they are sent for treatment, and we have to be very grateful in Trinidad that we have facilities now, both public and private, that can help people who have a problem with drug addiction. As I say this, I want to remind our listeners out there, of course, this is a call-in program, where if you have questions or comments, brief comments that you would like to make, you're quite welcome to call in and we will entertain your questions. And anyone, of course, who are following the program after on YouTube or any one of the social media, you can type in your requests and we'll try to attend to them as well. So as I was saying, it is really a waste to have to fire a worker after you've invested so much time and effort as a society in this person, and now they just thrown in the heap of garbage, as it were, and to destroy themselves with alcohol and drug addiction. So they, at present, in most of the industries, in the civil service, in the Port Authority, in all those large industries, it is estimated that sometimes up to 10% of your workforce could be affected directly or indirectly by alcoholism or drug addiction. And unlike other diseases, Jason, alcoholism does not only affect the person who is drinking or using. Addiction generally affects everyone of the people that this person interacts with. Of course, if they're a young adult and living with their parents are affected. A lot of mothers will tell you how, and fathers too, who can't go to sleep when their son is out there drinking. And they will stay up late into the nights waiting. And all that time, their anxiety levels are going up. I'm sure parents listening to this program can identify with what I'm saying. And every time a car stops, you're wondering if you're going to get some bad news or if it is the police and all of that. And parents go through that sometimes 2, 3 times for the week, and the person who is addicted is, seem to be oblivious to the effect it is having on the parents. What about the spouse, the wife, who is sitting waiting for the income at the end of the week to buy the groceries and provide for the children and the household needs and so on. And then he goes off and because of his drinking, drug use, or gambling, blows the whole salary out. And then she has to figure it out how to carry for the other week because he probably, or she, in some cases these days, we have a lot of women who are drinking and becoming addicted to alcohol and other drugs, marijuana and cocaine. And so the same thing is happening with those. So that, families wives have to, and of alcoholics and addicts have to go now begging relatives, neighbors, and exposing themselves to exploitation and abuse, not only from the person who is drinking and using the drugs in the house, but also from the social network, the family as well, who literally quarrels with her now, that she is losing control, she's allowing him to misbehave, or he's allowing her, to do things that is, because all of these behaviors do have social consequences in the communities in which we live. So that alcoholism and drug addiction, and I've been talking about alcohol, but when I say the same goes with marijuana use, cocaine use, and in some cases, it extends to gambling as well, same sort of behavior, the addictive behavior. So that I want our population to know that at a point where the alcoholic or the drug addict has crossed from social usage, controlled drinking or drug use, to compulsive use or uncontrolled drinking or drug use, it without help, it is very difficult for them to be able to stop the use. And I want all of our brothers and sisters who are listening out there who think that they might be having a problem with alcohol and drug use to know that help is available. That is what this program is about. All you have to do is to call, and we are fortunate in Trinidad and Tobago that we have, as I said, both public and private treatment facilities. There's the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Center at Cora Hospital. For those in the entire Trinidad and Tobago, you can go there and this is for free. There are also outlying clinics where if you can't come to Cora Hospital, if you're in the south, you can go to the San Fernando General Hospital on a Monday. There's an outpatient clinic at what used to be the chest clinic near the Naparima Bowl. Their clinic is on a Monday morning. You can go there and you can get screened. And if necessary, you will be referred to the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Center. If you need immediate attention, that is to be detoxed and all of that, they use the Ward 1 facilities there for that purpose as well, to help alcoholics and drug addicts to detox. If you are outlying in any one of the other districts, there are health centers in all the different counties in Trinidad and Tobago, some of them with more than one. You can go to your local health center as well and inquire as to when the psychiatric team is there. There are psychiatric clinics in all of these health centers and facilities, and the psychiatric clinics provide that service to do evaluation and assessment and referral for drug addiction and alcoholism. There are also private treatment facilities like the New Life Ministries located at Mount St. Benedict. There's the Rebirth House in Port of Spain. There's the Serenity Place in South Trinidad. There is also a female treatment facilities run by the New Life Ministries at Santa Flora. And there's the Heal House in Central Trinidad. And some of these you may have to pay for the facility, but they have been doing yeoman service in this society here. Now, worldwide, for those of you who are not living in Trinidad and Tobago, you can access information as regards Alcoholics Anonymous through the General Service Office, which is located in New York. You just go to your website and you can Google the General Service of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they will give you a meeting listing no matter where you are in the world. You will be able to see in your area where the groups are located, their addresses, and the times of their meeting. You can also get in touch with the General Service Office in Trinidad and Tobago as well. We have one located at Rivulet Road in central Trinidad. And they usually publish a pamphlet that I have made reference to on this program. It's called Who Me. I know it's a green background, but so you wouldn't be able to see it, but it has a question mark like this, and it says Who Me, and it has all the information about the various groups, their location and times of meeting in Trinidad and Tobago. So that no matter whether you're in Trinidad and Tobago or worldwide, you can access an AA meeting, either physically, and let me bring it to the attention. We are very fortunate in Trinidad. Just 2 weeks ago, a meeting that used to be facilitated by the Central Intergroup of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago has now formed themselves into a group. It's called the Circle of Reflection Online AA Group. And this online AA group, located at this point in time in Trinidad, can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Anyone interested in attending this meeting, there are meetings every night from 7 to 8:30. And anyone interested in accessing that online meeting, they can get in touch with me at the number on the screen. That is 1-868-671-3040. And I will be able to give them the ID number for the meeting and the password so that they can access that meeting. Every evening there are meetings here. And I must say, Jason, it is so encouraging because I'm seeing a lot of young people and young women in particular, generally, who are coming to that meeting and staying sober. This was something that was introduced because of the pandemic. You remember when no one could assemble during the height of the pandemic, that was in 2020. You couldn't have any group meeting anywhere. So all the AA groups were temporarily shut down, suspended. And so that a lot of AA members now, it is important for AA members and people in recovery to be able to attend meetings regularly. In fact, there are some people in the beginning, they attend meetings every night because the more meetings you attend is like you take out insurance against going back to drink. So quite a few members relapsed during that time because there were no meetings, but a few people in the fellowship saw the need and introduced the use of Zoom. And in Trinidad and Tobago, the Northern Intergroup continues to have a Zoom meeting every night. In the Central Intergroup, first it was started by a few individual AA members, and then the intergroup supported the meeting. And then there was one in South Trinidad, Southern Intergroup, sponsored by Southern Intergroup. That Southern Intergroup has kind of now dissolved the meeting because of lack of attendance and so on. But a lot of the members are coming to what used to be Central Intergroup. But now they have formed themselves into a AA group online. As I mentioned, Circle of Reflection, online AA group, and a lot of people I know who would have become very intimidated and apprehensive about going to a physical meeting, especially ladies. They're coming to the meeting, and some people are almost 2 years sober now, just by attending online meetings, because there are definite advantages. Let me speak about that a little. The whole world is going online. In fact, there was a time before the pandemic, I would come to the television station every Thursday. You remember? From 9 o'clock and sit there next to the table with Mr. Ram Suchit and at first was Elisa Budu Singh and so on. And we would do the program physically. At this point in time, I'm sitting at home in my office, and you are at the television station, and we are having this program without any much of a difference. And now we are able to post it online. Other people can also have access if they didn't have time at this point in time. A lot of our people are at work and all of that and can't tune in to the television station. But I know a lot of people tonight at 10 o'clock, they will tune in to hear the program, to follow the program. There are a lot of people out there, let me say hello to them, truck drivers and people on the road who are listening to the program. Yesterday, I was speaking to a gentleman who's a security guard with MTS. He listens to the program religiously, you know, and as I go around Trinidad, I meet a lot of people who, you know, compliment us for the work that we are doing. So the point I'm making here is the world is going online. You know, now if you have to make an appointment to get your driver's permit renewed here, you know, you have to do it online, Jason. If you have to go to open a bank account, you first have to go online and make an appointment. So whether we like it or not, that is the way the world is going. And I feel by now, you know, even vagrants, they have the cell phone as well, you know, Jason. I have seen people on the street dwellers who have a phone. You know, I recall our comedian Larry Joseph, you know, with his cell phone calling KFC. You understand? So that's the technology, and it is so safe. There's definite advantages in that. Now with the price of gas, you know, if you have to travel to go to a meeting, with all these home invasions, a lot of people are afraid to leave their homes in the night, leave their families unattended. So it is so convenient. You can stay in the comfort of your living room with your cell phone, and you don't have to venture out. You're getting more time to spend with your family. So definite advantages of being able to come to the online meeting. In the online meetings, you can turn your video off, so people don't have to see what you look like. You can put a sobriquet. You don't have to even put your right name. You know, yes, the host may ask you just to identify yourself to him, because we don't want people just coming into meeting, hacking into the meeting to make problems. We have had those kinds of things happening, I understand, in other places. So, but it is so much more convenient. And for the elderly who can't drive now in the night and all of that to go to physical meetings, they can stay and they can log in. And I know we have members who are now you know, who are very old and not able to drive, who are attending the meetings. So that I want to say that, you know, sometime out of crisis, we have opportunities, and this is one of those opportunities. So that I've been made to also understand that people in the physical meetings, you know, a letter was written to the General Service Office that gives guidance that you can belong to a physical meeting. You go to your physical meeting on those days that your meeting is carded for. And on the other days, you can go to other groups as well. But if you feel like you can attend, you have the option. It is not the online meeting is not a replacement for the physical meeting. I want to repeat that. The online meeting is not a replacement for the physical meetings. I know a lot of AA members, sometimes we are fearful of change. You know, a lot of people felt, well, boy, with these online meetings, everybody will go online. And AA, as they know it traditionally, would crumble. But that has not happened. Thank God, the online meetings kept the fellowship together, kept AA members being able to interface and fellowship with each other. And now when the physical meetings, a lot of them have started back, they are able to go back to their groups. So you know, I was a guest at a group anniversary on Tuesday night, and the attendance was really very, very good. I was happy to see so many people there at that meeting in Lange Park. so that the online meeting is a complement. It is not a competitor to the and I want, it is important for AA members who are in service to understand this. And then people who are in the meeting as well, in the online meetings, they can belong to their home group and they can be a member of the online group as well. Because the online group does not have boundaries. It is not limited by geography. The online meeting can have membership from all over the world. There are members who are from New York, New Jersey, South Africa that attends the meetings and so on. So having said that, I want to let our brothers and sisters know that help is available. But the first thing is you have to determine whether you need help. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about alcoholism, Jason. A lot of people think you have to become a skid row drunk, lose everything you have, grow a beard and look like a vagrant before you will be considered to be an alcoholic. No, that is not true at all. In fact, people who looking like me and you can be alcoholics, You understand? In fact, I am an alcoholic. I have said that on this program several times. And I remember when I had stopped drinking, I would have been about 3 months sober. I went to the beach in Las Cuevas, Trinidad, one of our nice beaches. And I was walking along the beach, and there was a group of young men who were, of course, liming there maybe from the night, and they were drinking. And one of them said, "Uncle, come on, take a drink with us now, man." And I walked over to them and I said to them, "Son, I can't drink because I'm an alcoholic." He looked at me and said, No, you can't be an alcoholic. You don't look like an alcoholic. You understand? Because you really can't judge an alcoholic by their looks. Yes, the chronic alcoholic, in fact, eventually is going to have that alcoholic face, that alcoholic body. You can tell an alcoholic who is a chronic alcoholic because the eyes become baggy. A lot of them look very unkempt. The chest become pointed. The belly becomes round. The shoulders in men become emaciated. That is, become very small. In women, in fact, on the other hand, the chest starts to become flat, and you start seeing the veins in the hand because, like the video before the program said, alcohol does affect your hormonal balance. So men starts looking like women. They start, getting small shoulders and pot belly and chest become pointy and of course it could lead to impotence in the long run. While women who drink heavily start looking like men. Their chest starts to become flat. The hands and the muscles and so on, starts to change the tone. The veins start to show in the hand and all of that. So I'm saying that not to threaten our population, but for you to look at yourself and see which way you are going. Because alcohol is serious business. And as I keep saying alcohol, but when I do so, I mean the other drugs as well. The cocaine, the marijuana, and even the prescription pills. All those sleeping pills that people are taking, and the tranquilizers and the amphetamines and all of those. You can become addicted and dependent on all of those, and they can have same or even worse effects. Because as I say this, Jason, it is easier to come off alcohol, than to come off from prescription pills like sleeping pills. And a sleeping pill, I don't like to call them names for people to get ideas, but they are all sedatives, just like alcohol is a sedative. If you take alcohol, you'll eventually drop asleep, So too when you take the sleeping pills. And those innocent looking little blue pills that we take and a lot of housewives and business people. In fact, I was at a seminar and I heard a person who should know better telling people, when you feel anxious, you could take a certain kind of tranquilizer. Now, these are the beginnings of of addiction, you know, because I remember I belonged to a small little singing group way back when I was a teenager, and we were going to sing for the first time at an occasion, and I was getting very nervous and anxious. And one of the older members of the group, he took me aside and gave me a drink, a shot of rum. And boy, my mood changed. You know, I was only supposed to sing one song. When I went up there, I got so brave. I sang two, and I was getting ready to sing three. And then they had to tell me, no, 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 you're only allowed to sing. You know, they had to take the mic from me. But I never forgot that. So this is why, you know, people who are in a elderly position, people who, parents in particular, a lot of people who eventually went on to become alcoholics were introduced to their first drink by a parent, by some older role model, as it happened with me. And I am saying this for children who growing up in a household, you know, where they're seeing the medicine cabinet, and children are very observant, you know, and they see the mother or the father, and it becomes they talk in the household, you know, where some families don't keep it a secret that they're taking the tranquilizer, they're taking the sweet pill on certain occasion, you know. Somebody, they're going through a rough patch, they're taking the pills, and they recommend it for their friends and the neighbors and all of that. Girl, why you don't take this? You know, it can help you. And people are prescribing for each other without any medical considerations. And so a lot of people start becoming, because these little pills, innocent looking pills, they're very, very potent. Some of them could put an elephant to sleep, you know. So that when you take it, you don't know what you said. You know, you're starting yourself on a journey, because the brain has memory, and we remember the effect. And every time that situation come up again, you remember, well, you know, I could just take that and I'd be all right. And then you're well on your way to becoming dependent. And it is more than 10 times more difficult to get people off prescription pill addiction than it is to get them off illicit drugs. It's easier to come off cocaine and marijuana and alcohol and all of that than to come off sleeping pills, you know, Jason, and psychotropic drugs that you have been prescribed. And this is why I'm saying, I continue saying on this program, because I have worked in the psychiatric setting. I worked at St. Anne's Hospital, at Ward 8 of Port of Spain General. I worked at Ward 1 in San Fernando Hospital. I have worked at Cora Hospital. I know, I worked in that fraternity, and I see what happens with people who have become dependent on prescription pills. You understand? Eventually, the body develops tolerance, and at some point, the 5 milligram will not work. The 10 milligram will not work. And then you reach to a point where you can't take 1 more milligram, because then you will be overdosing. And then what happens? And I'm seeing that in my practice very often, where people who were prescribed prescription pills by their psychiatrist have started to take alcohol as a supplement, to supplement the pills, because they can't get their prescription renewed. And that's another thing. I can't blame the doctors alone here. You know, our trainee population, we're so smart that we just read the name and we don't go back to the doctor again. We go to the pharmacist and we just ask for it. And the pharmacies, a lot of them are turning into, like, you know, shops. They're business places that are there to sell. And they sell these prescription, what should be prescription pills, they sell it under the counter. And then there's that whole host of people who work in the health facilities, from the nursing assistants go right up, who know how to get the medication from the pharmacy. You understand? I won't go into the details of it, but when I worked in these hospitals, I became aware that from the cleaners, the nursing assistants, the nurses, the staff, the security, everybody there know how to find a way to get the medication from the pharmacies. That is why sometimes we have a shortage of a lot of popular drugs. You know, you can't even get these Panadols and paracetamols and so on because they're all gone. You know, because the people who work in the hospital, they take it for themselves, they take it for their families and all of that as well. And of course, you become dependent. People can become dependent on painkillers. You understand? It is one of the basic reasons that I started this private practice in 1992, Jason, and introduced the use of acupuncture in the treatment of drug addiction. Because you cannot get addicted to acupuncture. But what acupuncture does, it stabilizes the person if they have a drug addiction to any drug. Of course, I'll speak a little bit more one day, do a presentation on the use of acupuncture in drug addiction. But I'm just speaking about the nature of drug addiction here, where it is not only alcohol and cocaine and marijuana that can get you addicted. You can become dependent on the prescription pills. And this is why if you go to a doctor and he prescribes a pill, you need to ask, how long am I going to be on this? And now doctors have no difficulty in telling you for the rest of your life. So what does that really mean? Let's step back a minute. If I have to take a pill for the rest of my life, it means that I will never get better. Not so, Jason? Hmm? If I, so that any doctor who's prescribing any pill need to consider, you know, the length of time, the whole question of whether this person is going to become dependent on this drug. And I see people, you know, I just sidestepping from this, people who now present with pre-diabetes and pre-hypertension being put on medication, you know, when hypertension and diabetes is not caused by a bacteria or a virus. You understand? It is a lifestyle disease. And somebody needs to spend some time with these people and help them and insist that they correct their lifestyle so they don't become diabetic and don't become hypertensive. I have been working with quite a lot of people, including myself. I was put on hypertension medication at one time, and I want to say that I'm completely off that because what I had to do was to bring my weight under control. And once I got back to the weight I'm supposed to, my correct BMI, I don't have to use no hypertension medication. And then there's also the misinformation out there that, you know, at my age, I will never be 120 over 80 unless something is wrong with me. For people at my age, the systolic and diastolic is naturally a little higher. If it went to 120 over 80, I'll be dizzy all the time. So for me, normal would be 140 over 90, but I'm usually under that. I'm saying this again because we could get so dependent on all of these other drugs to maintain our health. And as I say that, let me also add this, you know, Jason, good health is not the absence of illness. You know, we were all born with at least 10 cancers, you know, that remain benign, you know, dormant until something might trigger them off later on, or eating habits or lifestyle, and then sometimes it becomes malignant. You understand? It shows up. So if any one of us were going to wait until we have no illness to start living fully, we'll never live. We'll be dead before we start. So I'm saying to all our brothers and sisters listening out there, no matter what your condition, health condition, of course, you work towards it every day to make it better and better because the body has the ability, Jason, to produce any chemical that it needs. We don't really need to take nothing from outside, you know, no pills, you know. If that was God's intention, you know, you're probably too young to remember, but in the old days when you bought a bicycle, it used to come with a little bag behind the saddle, you know, a little leather bag with your little spanner and all of that, you know, your accessories. Sometimes they would have a little thing to patch your tire and all of that in solution and patch in there. And there's to be a pump on the bar to pump the tire and all of that. Bicycles don't come like that anymore. But if God had intended for us to have to use all of these external things, pills and all that. It probably would have sent us with a little pouch at birth, as accessories. But no, we can. Our bodies, once we eat the correct food, we exercise and we rest our bodies and we maintain the right attitude. These four things: eat the proper food, exercise, rest, and maintain the right attitude to life. We can live to long and healthy, purposeful, healthy, and happy lives. Our bodies can make almost everything we need. What we need from the outside is when we get into accident, we need to probably have bandage to bandage our feet and so on, and to take care of those things. But if we live carefully, we can avoid a lot of problems. You understand? And that would have been the way to go. But we have become progressively dependent on medication. Now we have from pediatric this to geriatric that. You understand? From the cradle to the grave, we have things that will make us sleep. We have things to, stimulants to make us wake. Coffee is a stimulant, incidentally, that a lot of us, including myself, have become dependent on. Let me don't shy away from it. I like my coffee. You understand? We make little trade-off, but there are consequences for all of these. We pay a price. You understand? I'm saying that everyone listening out there, the body is dynamic. If you feed it, there's a guy in an advertisement who says something that I must agree with, that if you don't eat food as medicine now, later on you're gonna have to eat medicine as food. And I agree with him because that I'm seeing that all around, and every one of these medications, they have side effects, Jason, some of which we know, some we don't know. And sometimes you wonder, if you look at American advertising of medication, when you look at the amount of side effects for even the paracetamols and so on, you wonder why people take them, because some of those things could be fatal, Some of those could have lasting, lifelong effects, So it is important. So in developing a plan for treating alcoholism and drug addiction, whoever is the professional, who is ever the person in the helping profession who is doing the intervention, they need to understand all of these things, lest we also become part of the problem, lest we also enable the person to continue to be sick. So a lot of times when a person presents to myself and to other people in the helping profession, we need to be mindful that what we are giving the person is not a crutch. We're not giving them a fish. We should teach them to catch fish. We need to teach them, help them first to understand the nature of the problem that they have, the nature of the addiction, what led them to that, and help them to develop what is called insight. That is the true role that the drug has been playing in their life. That is critical. That is what this program is about, basically. So you hear me talking about a lot of things, but they are all linked, in helping people to develop insight is when you know the true nature of what the drug is doing for you and to you. That is not only the alcohol, the marijuana, the cocaine, the sleeping pill, the tranquilizers and all of that. And you know what it can lead to. You can see down the road where you are heading. Then you will be in a better place to make a decision as to where you want to go with this. In fact, there's a saying I was advised as a young man: if you don't want to go in a certain direction, Jason, don't even look that way. Because if you look, you might see something to attract you. You understand? You have already decided you don't want to go that way. So that basically who you are and where you are, and same thing with me, where I am is because of the choices we have made in our life, You are not sitting hosting this program by guess. You would have had to educate yourself. You would have had to apply for a job at the station. You would have worked hard to get this position. So it is the choices you made all along. So to the person who is sitting on the pavement and have become homeless, they made choices that has led them to that destination. So today I want to ask all our brothers and sisters listening to this program to sit back a little bit, take a few deep breaths, and consider where you are today in life. Is this where you want to be? Are you happy with where you are? Where do you want to go? And what are the choices you will have to make if you want to get there? I was telling a young man yesterday, if you want to climb and go on top the roof of your house, all right, you have a ladder, but the ladder has several steps. So you'll have to know where you want to lean your ladder. If you lean your ladder on the mango tree, you'll find when you climb up and you reach up there, you're not on the roof of the house. You wasted all that time and effort to get to a place you didn't want to be. So every rung of those ladder is the choices we have made. So if you find that your life is not where you would have, you on a mango tree instead of the roof, today you can change that. You can decide from today that, look, I am going to consider the choices. First, you need to know where the roof is, where you want to go, right? You want to, whatever you want to, whatever the mind could conceive and believe it can achieve. So you first have to decide where you want to be in life at this point in time, and then you could chart a course to that destination. Of course, it would be useful, I have found, to ask God. You know, sometimes what we may choose to do may not be the best thing for us. So it is always, you know, if I pray, at the end of my prayer, even if I ask for something, I would predicate it by saying, God, if it is your will. Or usually I will say, thy will be done. Although I'm a Hindu, I know God can understand English, Jason. And I know when I say that, I believe, I know, I have come to know after all these years of trusting God, that God is listening. And a few times things did not work out the way I thought it should. I have lived long enough to realize, thank God it didn't work out like that. Otherwise, I would have been in serious trouble. Today I am where I am. And I'm very happy with where I am and how I am because of the choices I have made along the way. As to say that I have been able to stop drinking for the last 39 years, 4 months, and 23 days today. And for that, I'm really grateful. And with a sober head, Jason, you can make better choices. Because when we drink and we use drugs, we really, you know, it's like you're putting a virus in your computer. It will not be able to process things, probably will corrupt all your programs and all of that, and eventually it might crash. So again, I want to remind our listeners, there are online meetings available now for all those who would like to do something. Well, you may think, I don't think I'm an alcoholic, but if you come to the meeting, you might be able to listen to other people and make a determination whether you are or you're not. And if you are not, well, by all means, this program is not about drying up the world. Anyone who can take the drink and enjoy it, of course, you should do that. But for those who are predisposed to drinking and drug use, you know, if you have a family history of alcoholism and all of that, then you need to be careful. You can come and you can make that determination as to whether you're an alcoholic. I posted a program, you remember, I think it's 2 programs ago or last program, no, the previous program, where I read some questions, Jason, where people can go back to that program and make that determination as to whether they're an alcoholic or not. And I've also posted the resources that are available for anyone who would want to do something about it. So I want to thank you for having me on the program, Jason. And again, you know, thanks to all those people listening, and hope they would have benefited from the program. As I said, it can be accessed on YouTube at any time a person would like to go and review the programs. So thank you again. Well,